Hey, what's good everyone? Noah here, and today I'm very excited to be announcing that I'm going to be doing another draft league. This draft league I'm going to be joining is the UNPL D League, and I just want to say a big thank you to It's Danny Mac and all of the admins that are running it. Without them, this would not be possible. Huge shout out to my boy Noah, aka Shattered Backboards. This guy was the unsung hero of my last season. He was always there to help me test out my teams, prep for the games, and I would not have been as successful as I was without his help. He also gave a couple of his opinions on some of my draft picks, helped me out with that, so big thanks to him. Also a huge thanks to my boy Kioma. I consulted on some of my draft picks, and he also makes some really cool draft content, so be sure to check him out. I'll leave a link to him in the description. And a big thanks to Maverick Shooters. He also is somebody I consulted about some of my draft picks, and he gave some advice for my team. So big thanks to him also. Alright, let's go ahead and get into my team. In draft, it's best to have as close to first or last pick as possible. This is because with your picks being closer together, you'll be able to plan out and coordinate your team better. And of course, with me, I ended up with 7th pick out of 12 people, which is the worst possible case. Not to worry though, because I have the best strategy of not really planning out my team too far ahead and just kind of going with the flow. So let's see what happens with 7th pick. For my first pick, I somehow landed Iron Valiant. How it fell to 7th is beyond me because right now it's one of the best Pokemon in draft. This thing has 130 base attack, 120 base special attack, and 116 base speed. So it's going to be hitting hard on either the physical or special side, and it's going to be moving first most of the time. With a fairy and fighting type, it's got 2 incredible attacking stab types, and with access to close combat, Moonblast, it's got some really good options for stab moves also. Not just that, it's also got really nice coverage moves and good psychic attacks, Thunderbolt, Shadow Ball, and it's also got some nice utility moves, it's got Trick, it can learn Encore, Disable, it can learn Skill Swap, but that doesn't work because of its ability. And speaking of its ability, with it being a future Paradox Pokemon, it's got Quark Drive, and that makes it so if I give it a booster energy to hold, it's gonna get a boost in whichever stat is its highest. If I make that speed, that's basically just a free +1 speed boost when I switch in. Think like a Choice Scarf, but I'm allowed to change up my moves. So Iron Valiant is really nice to have as my first pick. For my second pick, I wanted a good Steel type to pair with Iron Valiant because Steel covers a lot of its weaknesses. And I was gonna go for Iron Treads first, but that ended up getting taken first round, so I got Goldingo instead, which is really nice. This thing's got a great ability in Good as Gold that makes it so it's immune to any kind of status move. So if you're not hitting me with an attacking move, it's not gonna work. You can't click Thunder Wave on me, you can't click Spore on me, it can't get Encored, it can't get Tricked, you can't even click Defog on it. So with it being Ghost typing and having Good as Gold, it basically blocks all kinds of removal. It's got a really respectable base 133 special attack stat, so it's going to be firing off some strong Shadow Balls, or its signature move Make It Rain, which is 120 base power steel attack. This thing's going to be nice to give a Choice Scarf or a Choice Specs, but if you don't want to do that, it learns moves like Thunder Wave and Recover, so you can be statusing opponents, it's also going to be keeping itself healthy, and it has the bulk to back it up. Overall, really happy to have this as my second pick. My third pick is something I'm really excited about because I wanted it in my last draft league, but it got sniped before I could take it. I got Hisuian Samurott, and this is really nice to have with Goldingo. Hisuian Samurott's signature move, Ceaseless Edge, sets up spikes when it lands, so I'm going to be setting up hazards, and since it doesn't count as a status move, it's not going to be blocked by Taunt, it's not going to be blocked by Magic Bounce. Basically, if I'm landing my attack, I'm getting hazards up. And getting hazards up isn't all Samurott does. With its ability Sharpness, it's going to be firing off some strong attacks. Ceaseless Edge is almost base 100 power with Sharpness. Razor Shell's 110 base power. Even Air Slash, yeah. Air Slash isn't a special attack, but that counts as a slicing move, so that's going to be boosted by Sharpness. So Hisuian Samurott should be fun to use. Fourth pick, I kind of wanted a defensive piece, so I ended up going with Zapdos. It having Flying type, it's going to cover that ground weakness that Goldingo has, and I really like it because with Static, it's going to be decentivizing people clicking stuff like U-Turn, Rapid Spin, Knockoff. It's got Roost, so it can heal off damage, it can spread status with Thunder Wave, it can pivot around, it's got Volt Switch, U-Turn, and it's got a really nice special attack too, 125, so don't underestimate like a spec set or just an offensive set from Zapdos. So round 5, I ended up getting Chi-Yu, and no, I have no idea how it was still around. Like, it's already got a really nice offensive type in Fire and Dark, and just look at that special attack, 135. With Beads of Ruin, that's lowering the special defense of anything else. So if you bring this thing in and click Overheat, like, something is dying. There's no walling Chi-Yu. There's probably some better stuff that I could have grabbed here, but I wanted to have fun with this, and I thought that Chi-Yu would be really cool to have on my team. Next thing you see here, I didn't actually originally draft. This was an idea from Maverick Shooters that I picked up in the grace period. I got Monkey Dory. Usually in draft, it's a good idea to have a grounded poison type. That way, stuff like Toxic Spikes isn't always free against your team. And Monkey Dory is really cool. It's one of the new Loyal 3 Pokemon, and definitely I think it's the best of them. Like, it's the fastest one, and it's got a really high special attack, so it's going to be firing off some really strong Sludge Waves, some strong Psychics. I didn't really have a strong Psychic type on my last draft, so definitely excited to have something like that here. And this thing, it's another momentum piece, like it can learn U-Turn, it's got Parting Shot, and with like Toxic Chain, I could click stuff like Fake Out, U-Turn, and just fish for toxic poisons. But I've also got Frisk, and that I think is one of the best draft abilities, just because being able to scout and get some information on the opponents, like just seeing their item, is really going to be nice. So happy to have Monkey Dory on the team. Yeah, so next is my round 6 pick, and I actually was originally going to get Donphan in round 5 before I decided to go with Chi-Yu instead. So I was hoping to be able to get Donphan in round 6, but actually later on in round 5, Donphan got taken. So that was kind of disappointing for me since I think it was a really good ground type and one of the best Rapid Spinners left. But I still needed a ground type, and I decided to get Sandaconda. This thing is cool because it has Glare, so that's another like status spreading move. It can set up Stealth Rocks, and with Shed Skin, that makes like stuff like status moves not always free against it because it can just heal those off. It's able to solidly use Rest because there's the chance that it just heals off that Rest. It can set up with Coil, and it also actually has Scale Shot now, so that should be pretty fun to use. It's got like a usable defensive profile, like it's not the best, but definitely can take some hits. And it can get Sand Spit as an ability, so that could be a way to counter weather, so definitely not the worst thing to have on my team. So in draft, it's usually a good idea to have some form of hazard removal, and with that, there's usually 2 options. There's either Rapid Spin or Defog. But since Defog gets rid of your own hazards, and hazard stacking is going to be part of my strategy, I definitely needed to go the Rapid Spin route, and at this point, with Donphan being gone, the best Rapid Spinner left was definitely Tsareena. It's got like near base 100 defenses, so you could go solidly like either physically or specially bulky with it, and it's got a pretty nice attack stat, so it could fire off some strong like Power Whips. That's a really strong move. And yeah, it's got Rapid Spin, so that's my main hazard removal. It's also got access to stuff like Knockoff, so I can get rid of items. It's got U-Turn, so I can pivot around. And it's got Synthesis, so it can heal off damage too. So Tsareena, definitely a nice thing to have on my team. Next thing, something I'm also really excited to have, is Dunsparce. This was something that I had in my last draft league, and I am not lying when I say every single game that I brought it to, I won. Dunsparce is really underrated. Like, it's got base 100 HP, and it can hold Eviolite, so depending on how you invest, it could be bulky in like either physical or special. And it's so good. Like, it can set up hazards with Stealth Rock, it's got Glare, so it can spread status, it's got Roost, so it can recover health, and it's got like a lot of really nice coverage moves. Like, it learns Ice Beam and Thunderbolt. It's got Volt Beam. So Dunsparce, it's underrated, and I'm happy to have it back on the team. Finally, I am only at 9 Pokemon right now, and it's in the league's rules to have at least 10, and I have 1 point left to spend. So I decided to get Shelgon. Mainly I just wanted this because Salamence was definitely the MVP of my last draft season, so you know I had to do something to honor him, so I got something from the Salamence line, which is Shelgon. Looking back, maybe I should have gotten something different. Like, I could have gotten Cricketune, that would have been a sticky web setter. But I am going to be loyal to Salamence and stick with Shelgon for now. It could be usable. I mean, it's got 100 base defense with access to Eviolite, so it could be taking some hits. And I mean, Dragon type's not bad to have. It has solid resistances, and this thing could maybe be a good wall for me. It's got Rockhead, so I could do like Rockhead Double Edge. I mean, it's got a usable attack stat, I'd say. So we're gonna see what Shelgon can do for me. Finally, there's Terastallization, and the rules on that in this league are going to be you can pick low-tier things to Terastallize, specifically things that are 12 points or under. Then you have 18 points to spend on Pokemon that can Terastallize. So I went with Serena, which is 9 points, Sandaconda, which is 3, and Sandaconda, which is 6, and Dunsparce, which is 3, which all adds up to 18. And then you get to assign 3 types. One of them has to be a natural type of the Pokemon, and then the other 2 can be whatever you want. So I went with Ground for Sandaconda, and then also Water and Dragon. Just Water, Dragon, I think were 2 nice like elemental defensive types for it to have, and then it could also do like Stab, Scale Shot with Dragon, so that could be fun. And then Serena, I got Steel and Fire in addition to Grass. This is mainly just to give it some resistances to what are usually its weaknesses. And then Dunsparce, I went with Fairy and Flying. Those are both fighting resistances. And then, let's see, Flying specifically was just to give another ground immunity because my team is a little weak to ground. And then Fairy, it's just good to have a defensive Fairy type. And my one Fairy type, which is Iron Valiant, that's not very defensive. So those are going to be the Terra types. Alright, that's going to be the team. It's, I think, really good. I mean, with having 7th pick, I think I really scrounged together a really solid team. So, really happy to have this team. First battle should be going up next week. Hope to see you there.